Hello, good evening and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers tribute to Brendan Rodgers' time at Leicester City and other stuff alongside it. This is Winners and Losers. I'm Gav, that's Pete, that's Dicko. I want to talk about Brendan Rodgers for an hour, maybe 60 to 63 minutes, but the lads have picked other winners and losers from the weekend's football. This show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. Check them out at bookmakers.com for all your gambling needs. If you gamble on football, any sport from through any bookie you want, that is the place to go, but do so responsibly. If you don't gamble, stats, analysis, articles, all sorts of stuff on there. For the non-gambler, just the sports reader, there's loads of stuff on there as well. I'll get on to our charity stuff later on. And what happened over the weekend? Well, the lads done a great show after the loss to Man City. The two lads done a great show last night in the Fatback 4 because me and Shawnee are dying. I'm still dying, but I did go and play golf today to try and make myself better. But winners and losers from the weekend, I genuinely, lads, I've forgotten what your winners and losers are, so I'm just shooting for the stars here. Dicko, how are you? The Ev got a point. Mad Dicko will be fucking fuming.
Yeah, I know. I didn't watch that second half, and it looked like a foregone conclusion, and then couldn't believe my eyes when I'd seen Everton had equalised and Spurs had done a Spurs. Unbelievable.
Luke and Mora come on and tried to break someone's ankle just to level things up.
Did he? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Seeing they got a red card, I just couldn't get my head around the whole thing. But yeah, I'd say Goodison was bouncing by the end, and I'm over in Liverpool on Saturday, and I'm sure she'll still be fuming.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because how many times do these pricks want to hang on? You know what I mean? I was saying to Pete there, we were talking about this financial investigation into them, and people. I've read one person saying it actually could be they've been thrown over the edge by the signing of Neil Maupay, which would be glorious. But the thing is, if they're in the wrong here, do they get a points deduction this season and that's them done? Because I don't think they can get it done that quick. If it goes into next season, do they get a points deduction? I don't know, but I'm quite happy for the Premier League to want to go. Everton, you stayed up. You have got issues, so you cannot sign anyone for the next year. And genuinely, I'm all for it.
I don't see them survive. Like if they got, say, a 15-point deduction at the start of next season, I don't see them overcoming it.
No, because it effectively would give them a transfer ban. Because who wants to sign for them, and they don't have any money. But we might get into them a bit later. But who is your Dicko? Sticking with you, who is your winner of the week?
My winner was the evergreen, another ex-Liverpool manager, Roy Hodgson, who ironically put the final nail in the coffin of Brendan Rodgers. I mean, you couldn't write the script, could you? I mean, being plucked from retirement. So, he's still. You got to remember, he's drawing his old age pension. The fella,
he's 75.
He's well into the old age pension.
No 75-year-old should be rang and asked, listen, is there any chance you can give us a dig out here for 3 months? He's 75.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? Warnock's still getting gigs. This fella's still getting gigs. Sam Allardyce must be wondering why he's got to do to get a gig when there's fellas like this coming back. But yeah, look, he obviously rallied the troops. I think to be fair, it's all set up beautifully for him in a way, because Vieira was just coming off the back of a real nightmare stretch of games. He couldn't quite ride out the storm in terms of surviving through to what is now a much kinder stretch of games. The bottom is mad. I was only just looking there before Everton equalised,
We were literally looking at it before you decided to join us 3 minutes late. It was, by the way, it's Dicko's fault we're late. Go on, buddy.
Just couldn't believe that there's so few points between where Palace sits in the table in. I think it's 12th.
Yeah.
All the way down to kind. I know Southampton a couple of points adrift, but look, everyone is essentially in the mix from Palace down. So to get those 3 points was absolutely massive for them, and I think obviously the last job he got was Watford, wasn't it? Where it was an uphill struggle.
But Watford. Look, he was about 73 then, right?
Yeah.
And Watford offered him the job, right? But Watford feels like, Palace didn't have the few quid to pay him off, so they rang Watford and said, "Listen, give him a job for a few months. We'll sort you out with a few quid, and Roy will be sorted for retirement." The fella has how many years left has he got? And then all of a sudden he turned around and goes, "Yeah, I'll go back to Palace." Like he must fucking hate being at home. He must have retired after Watford, and the missus has him putting up shelves and clearing out the shed and doing all this stuff. And he's like, "Fuck that! The next job I get offered, I'm taking it." Just on the league table, right? For people that haven't seen, I'm sure you have, but if you go up to, if you take Palace out for a minute, right? Or don't. 12th, Palace, 29 games, 30 points.
They're in it.
Wolves, 29 games, 28 points. West Ham, 27 games, 27 points. They look, for me, like they'll pull away, right? They need a couple of wins for me. Everton, 29 games, 27 points. The next four have all played 28 games. Have 20, Forest of 27, Bournemouth of 27, Leeds 26, Leicester 25, and Southampton sit on 23 points from 29 games. I know Leeds play Forest tomorrow night, and Bournemouth host Brighton tomorrow night. So it's mad, the league is. It's absolutely mad. But P,
there's so many 6 pointers down there now. There's got to be at least one pointer every weekend now between now and the end of the season.
I swear to God, right? I do a show on Bookmakers TV every Thursday, right? And we preview the Premier League. We look back at stuff that's happened. And, sometimes you go in and you go, if you're previewing a Premier League, and even the lads that do our Friday night show, you go, there's a few dead rubbers in there. Yeah, we do 4 games because usually, but every week, out of the 10 games, 8 of them are like mental. And 2 of them are kind of, someone might be involved, like at Chelsea. But like it's a crazy, crazy season. P, like, right, he's right there. Like Roy Hodgson, winner, comes in, puts Brendan Rodgers to the sword, sniggering away while he's like, dribbling his soup, after the game at Patrick Vieira. Like, is it just great for him, or is it just like, what is this fella at?
Listen, if people laugh at Roy Hodgson, they write him off. This is a man who came up the hard way, is a very experienced man, and has the respect of other managers and players within the game. 75 he might be, but like, he's from Croydon for starters. So Crystal Palace is his team. So he's always going to get a tune out of them, and I think it's a smart thing to do. Get somebody in the situation that I was sorry to see Patrick Vieira. The back of Patrick, I think Patrick Vieira has a future in the game. Not only was he a great player, he knows what he's doing. Crystal Palace is a different proposition to what they were last year. They're big physical boys. They can all play a bit. They were nice to watch, but they just didn't have anything up front that could consistently score goals. Roy is there to rock a few points on the ball, but he knows that club. He knows that club better than most. It's a very astute, fella to bring in. Doesn't matter his age, but this is a man that managed England. Fella speaks 3 or 4 languages. Very smart man, knows the game. We might laugh, but I tell you, you don't get the Liverpool England job. You don't get the job Inter Milan. You don't get the jobs that he's gotten by being, happy-go-lucky some outfit that's doddery.
Oh no, he was horrendous at Liverpool. Like horrendous. God, yeah. He does a decent. He goes to Inter and stuff like that. He's at Blackburn, isn't he? It's not the best of times. He does a great job at Fulham. He's horrendous at Liverpool. He should never be in the Liverpool manager. He simply, and the reason being is because as much as he's travelled the world and he's probably collected fridge magnets from everywhere, he didn't know what Liverpool were about, and that's what it was with him. And apart from that, the results and some of the comments he came out with, like being beaten 3-0 at Goodison and saying it was our best performance of the season. I literally want to rip that telly off the fucking wall and just plant it on top of my own head. Yeah. When he was saying stuff like this. Just says you should read the Hodgson Files by Ben Johnson, the Anfield rap, hilarious and depressing. Yeah, if you can go and find that, it's actually brilliant from a couple of years ago. But like if he gets 3 wins between now and the end of the season, he keeps them up.
They're all right.
39 points.
They have Everton for starters, so they'll bounce off them because they'll remember what Everton did to them at Goodison Park last year. And and had their big party afterwards, they'd be looking to destroy them. I tell you, I look, Palace are the one side I look at. I know they haven't set the world on fire, but you're physically tired when you're looking at them. You're picturing. I wouldn't want to play against them as a player. You wouldn't want to put 11 players on the park against them.
They have
They're
an awful
big
lot of.
boys, you know.
They've an awful lot of. I feel they've an awful lot of individuals going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. Olise and
Eze,
Easy.
Zaha, Edward, isn't it Edward that went down there from Celtic?
Yeah, yeah.
And they feel a bit like they're individuals.
Disjointed.
Like I never look at Palace and go, oh, Eze, Elise, Edward, or whatever tree line up in front and go, oh, they look like a front three. You don't consider that. You always think of, oh, Elise might do something on his own, or Eze might do, or they never feel like a unit for me. In midfield, they'll fight, they'll scrap. Defensively, they'll be well organised under Hodgson anyway.
Zaha has been in and out injury wise. When he plays and when he's motoring, they're better. They're better. For me, he's an excellent player.
Yeah.
I don't care what
Well,
anyone says.
yeah,
He's an excellent player.
Well, Pete, you're getting hammered here now because Thor, the dyslexic polyglot, says, "Come on, lads. He called Northampton formidable, so dislikable as a Liverpool manager. Hodgson is like Tyler All, does a certain job, but you don't brag about it." Jono says he also said that Liverpool were not too big to get relegated. I remember that one as well.
Yeah, I remember. I'll never forgive him for that. But
Yeah.
listen, if you only judge the man off what he did, of course you think he's terrible. But I
Oh
don't.
no. Listen, I don't
think
give a fuck what he's doing, but I just find it hilarious that Crystal Palace as a club, now it might turn out well, and I think it will, but Crystal Palace as a club went with Vieira, youngish manager. He's probably 50, is he? Vieira, somewhere around that age, right?
No, 46, 47.
He's not.
Yeah.
Is he?
76 he was born in.
Okay, so 46, 47, right? And they've gone, right, we've gone for the youth-ish manager. It didn't work that time where it was of Ronald or Frank de Boer, was one of the de Boers. Do you remember he turned up and he was appalling, right?
Worst
And they
manager
went,
ever.
let's go for the polar opposite, right? And I'd say the two people they interviewed for the job was Attenborough and Hodgson. And it turns out Hodgson got the nod. That's what I'm reckoning happened, right? Or Doc Cotton. I don't fucking know if Doc answered the phone call. But what I'm saying is, Palace just decided, fuck that, find the oldest person we can, right? Well, we're knocking this youth shit on the head, and we're going for Hodgson, we're going for fucking Doc Cotton, or we're going for David Attenborough. Whoever answers that phone first, whoever answers it within 5 rings gets the job. Hodgson's in the shed, cleaning out all the old paint. The phone rings, he fucking answers it like a lie, and he gets the job. That's what I think happened.
I think the thing is, like, the next 4 fixtures are all against teams around them. They've got, I think they're playing Leeds at the weekend. They've got Southampton, they've got Everton, they've got West Ham. That's the next 4. I mean,
they're on 40 points. If they get 3 more wins, they're up.
If they win 2 out of the last 4, then Hodgson can literally just, it's a pipe and slippers job until the end of the season for him, essentially. Yeah. It's mid-table obscurity, which is why he absolutely, is right in his wheelhouse. It's why he's known for. I mean, let's be honest.
Right? Go on. I think I was just talking something hilarious.
Let's be honest. Like, we've got a very personal thing when it comes to Roy Hodgson and that absolute saga. But outside of the Liverpool fan base, I think if you ask most people, they would say he's done a reasonable job over his managerial career.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but it's just the age thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness to him, he's not afraid to go back to previous encounters, right? Because didn't he have a scrap with the Watford mascot while he was Palace manager? And he went and then he went and managed Watford. And then when he got relegated with Watford, it was actually at Selhurst Park. And he was waving to all the Crystal Palace fans after the game. And it was like, this is fucking truly amazing. So, listen, Roy Hodgson is the winner of the weekend. I think he might keep Palace up. And,
Definitely will.
Yeah, I think he will. 30 points, 9 games to go, or whatever it is. If he wins 3. But if you look down there, right, Leicester currently sit on 10 games to go on 26 points.
They'll be fine.
Right? They might be fine, right? Depending on who they bring in, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, right? But Southampton just feel like they can't get over it. But there's no way you're telling me that the 2 of these teams down there at the moment in the bottom 3 are going to pick up 14 points in the next 10 games. Just now, it doesn't happen. You think it's going to happen, but it doesn't. They all just keep
Not
getting
when they're
beaten.
playing each other. Not when they're playing each other.
I know, but then all it takes is 1-2 draws elsewhere, and it just null and voids itself. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, fair play to Roy. And best of luck in your retirement whenever you fucking decide that you can retire.
Never gonna happen.
P,
Yeah.
do you winner or loser? I don't care.
We keep it light, I suppose. Winner's the Arsenal. I mean, it's for me. It's one of them seasons where everybody's rubbish. I mean, I think I tweeted at the weekend. Arsenal very good, Man City excellent, everybody else shocking, Everton beyond terrible, and that's the way it's been. But when you have seasons like that, you have to take advantage. And with Manchester City being a little, well, not Jekyll and Hyde, they've the capability to bounce off sides as well. But they're dropping points left, right, and centre as well. Arsenal have been consistent, and to be honest with you, I don't see anything hugely incredible personnel-wise that would make you go, wow. Barring Odegaard, Odegaard getting a huge run of games and everything kind of revolving around. Martinelli's been outstanding. I have to say he's probably a better coach than I thought he was. I thought he was a bit of a bluffer, and I thought it was the money. But in fairness, he seems to know what he's doing. I don't like the guy. He's not particularly warm, but you have to take advantage. And I see a lot of tweets from Liverpool supporters like myself, and they're all thinking the same thing. Geez, what a year to be terrible. What a year to be terrible. But Arsenal, considering where they came from last year, at one stage they were looking at, hovering just above the bottom three. They were absolutely horrible. I mean, a couple of years ago when we were romping it, they were the biggest kind of people preaching, biggest fan base preaching for null and void. That's how bad their season was. And he has just completely turned it around. And it's a testimony to actually keeping faith with somebody who knows what they're doing. You look at the way Chelsea are still behaving. I don't know. I mean, Brendan's run his course. We talk about it later. But certainly Tottenham, not giving Potter or Chelsea not giving Potter his time, in my view, and probably giving into player power, because none of them players, they're all looking at him going, who are you? I'm not doing that for you. So they've gotten rid of him. I just think it's a testimony. At one stage, I remember Arteta was favourite for the chop. In fact, I thought he had been sacked for a few hours. I think at one stage last season, it was that bad. But now they stuck with him. And in fairness, they're getting what they deserve. They've been absolutely outstanding. Every time they're tested, they come through with flying colours. So for that, Arsenal for me are my winners of the week. They've been outstanding. Hate them, outstanding.
I think they've been brilliant. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not a big fan of Arteta, and I've openly said I thought he was a spoofer. And sometimes that comes out in him. Sometimes I think he tried to spoof his way in that FA Cup game against City, where he made out he was naming this weekend side and then threw them all at it. Just throw them all at it at the start, get the game won, and then take them off. And then you see them at home to City in the league, where they could have won the league. For me, just wrapped it, and City beat them and beat them well. But what I will say is that, and like Kevin Balls is there, Arsenal taking advantage, feel like they're not getting enough credit because they're fall off in City's form compared to their season. Now, in fairness, City are 5 points off them, and Arsenal have 72 points, I think, after maybe 28 games. So they've dropped. I think they're still on line for a 99-point season. If you win every game, right? So it's
but they're on course.
No,
90, definitely.
But you see, the thing is, right? You can say what you want about are they a great side? I think if Liverpool were full blast and City were on full blast, I don't think Arsenal would live with them, right? But if they were both on, I don't think Arsenal would live with them. Sorry, but they're getting there, and they feel a bit like Liverpool 17, 18, 19 to me. Whereas they've taken advantage of City probably dropping off 10% from me, but that's okay. All you can do is beat what's in front of you. And when Liverpool went down and won 28 of their first 29 games or something in the league, people were like, oh, well, these were crap and they were crap. Yeah, they probably were, but Liverpool said they had to go and beat them. I think the next challenge for Arsenal would be keeping that squad together, because I'm still of the belief that one of Martinelli or Saka ends up at Man City. That's just that's a belief of mine. It's very hard. I hope, and by the way, this is me having to go with Arsenal. I hope 100% they win the league. right? I don't give a fuck about, AFTV will be unbearable, or, this fella be unbearable, or Arsenal fans of this. All fan bases are fucking unbearable. Let's be perfectly honest with you. I accept the one you support, right?
Yeah.
I want them to beat them cheating pricks. 100%. And I'll say it, and people know it. Anybody but Man City, and I said it before, I'd rather United win a league title than Man City at this stage. And I mean that. I absolutely mean that, because as much as you say about taking advantage of this, that, and the other, Liverpool have been robbed of league titles from these pricks, and and any Man City fan can come on and tell me you're wrong. I'm not. I know I'm not. Right. So Arsenal have taken advantage. Yes. City have dropped off 10%. Yes, from a ridiculous level. Right, and good enough for them. Liverpool have dropped off. Yes, and our own making, and we'll have to rectify that. And I think if Liverpool rectify it, they'll be back in the running. Arsenal have won games. They've won games after game after game after game, and they've gone behind and they've come back and they've won. They've had a couple of stumbles, defeats, but they've reacted to them. And if you look at them, they're well organised. They're strong in midfield. They're very good going forward, because them lads are just full of energy. So, yeah, are they the winner of the weekend? I don't know, because I think once City keep winning, Arsenal have to keep winning, and City probably feel like they have to win every league game between now and the end of the season to win the title. And who would you back to do it? Probably City still over Arsenal, because they have that mentality and they've had that form before. They've been the course and distance. But I'm telling you now, give me Arsenal as league champions every fucking day of the week over Man City. Dicko, Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm starting to come round to that view as well myself, that I would favour Arsenal winning the league, and it's not just because of some of the antics from the likes of Pep at the weekends, and seeing how that club is from top to bottom. Seeing a stadium with a team that's going for a league title less than half full with 10 minutes to kick off. It's just it is sickening when you see City, up close and personal when you're playing them, sort of thing. Arsenal, on the other hand, I think they are becoming more likeable every week in a way. I mean, they actually in some ways are reminding me of the 13-14 season that we had, where we almost won the league. I know they're not as spectacular in terms of, some of the way we blew some teams out the water, but they're winning games comfortably. They've won the last 3 league games by 3 clear goals. They're keeping up pace when it comes to goal difference with City. They're not just winning games. It's not like 1-0 to the Arsenal or anything like that. They're actually dispatching mediocre mid to bottom of the table teams pretty easily. And they have got a lot of young up and coming players. You could kind of see it in previous seasons, but they've just seemed to have hit that perfect sort of stage of progressing together. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't really giving them an awful lot of credit, because I was for a long time convinced that they were potentially going to win this league because of everyone else's demise, including City's. But in fairness, if they carry on the pace that they're going at and they win this league with anything from 90 points above, you can only give them credit, because I think any team that wins a league with 90 points, even more so than, I think that will eclipse their invincible season and from a points tally.
But their invincible season has 12 draws in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they've 26 wins and 12 draws.
Yeah, so it'll be more impressive if they win that league going up against City, head to head, every week having the pressure applied, responding, getting wins, when you've seen City beat, a better side the day before. You can only give them the credit that they'll deserve at the end of the season. And all of my kind of resentment towards them has kind of disappeared. Now, having said all of that, I actually fancy us to turn them over at the weekend and really put a cat amongst the pigeons, because we seem to be stepping up in those kind of positions this season, beating City, beating United 7-0. We've got a performance like that, especially off the back of some disappointing results. So they're not home and dry. It was a great weekend for them in that they showed that they could respond to the pressure being applied, playing a team that's fighting for their lives. But I think they've still got a long way to go. They've got an awful long way, and they've still got to play City again as well.
They have to play City, they have to play us, both away from home. And City, you know for a fact, City went out against Liverpool the weekend and went, win this, and then let Arsenal go to Liverpool next weekend, because Liverpool are fighting for their lives to get into the top four, and Arsenal don't like Anfield. Doesn't matter how good you're playing, they don't like Anfield.
No.
Jono has a few here. He says, difference between them and us, Gav, we're doing it in the league and the Champions League. Fair point. Arsenal doing it in the league. Let's see how they handle the Champions League next season when they have to play every 3 days. Very, very good point. But what I would say to you is, that's where the advantage, that's where I think they're taking the advantage. I think if you look at the second place team, City are on for about 96 points, I think, or 94 points. So it's not like City are massively dropping off. 94 points is a hell of a haul. It's just because what Liverpool and City have done over the last couple of years. You know, City have done 100. Liverpool done 99 and took the last 7 games off. Liverpool have done, 97. It's just the standard up there, and it is. You have to be 90 plus now to win a league. And if Arsenal are 90 plus and win it, fair play. But he also says, and by the way, fuck Arsenal. They were cheering City's goals against Villa last season at their stadium. Let's see, win means nothing anyway. I completely get that. But I promise you, I fucking promise you, if Man City win the league this season, right, and the following season, that same scenario is coming, a lot of Arsenal fans will change that tune. The only reason I'm saying that to you, or saying it to you, that I want Arsenal to win, that's just tribalism or whatever else it wants to be. And Arsenal fans worry that a real football club will win something, right? Yeah. They're not bothered by Man City, right? We're the opposite. At times we might go, let's City win it. It means nothing. But now we're of no, hold on, don't let them win it, because they've stopped us doing it. So instead of us taking this easy way out and going, let's City win it, fucking let everyone else see what it's like. You can't. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And that's what I think about it. So I'll take Arsenal all day, every day. But I agree with you on the whole Champions League stuff. I think that's a very, very fair point.
Huge factor.
What lads whisper you as the losers to me? Who are they?
Well, we can save a whole segment for Brendan Rodgers.
That's why I'm trying to get through the losers as much as we can.
I wanted to change my loser really to Arthur.
Yes, you've changed to Arthur, the Liverpool player. Yeah. And who would you got, Pete?
Mine are Everton.
But you had Everton. I told you.
It was between Everton and Spurs, to be honest with you, because I'll tell you what, I'll stick with Spurs.
No, I'll tell you what. Let's have an Everton / Spurs chat.
Yeah, right.
We'll get on to Arthur, and then we'll hit Brendan Rodgers with everything we have.
The reason I would have switched to Spurs is never in my life have I ever seen a side or a group of men, a group of players, fail to react to basically having their pants pulled down by a man who's been with them for a year and a half, in Antonio Conte. Imagine going out. I mean, if somebody says you've no bottle, you've no resolve, you don't have any chutzpah, you've no ganas, you don't want to win anything, you don't have the will to win, the first thing you're going out, doesn't matter who it's against, you're either winning or you're kicking lumps out of people. Spurs do neither. And tonight they go 1-0 up. Harry Kane does his usual, throws himself around the ground and holds his face, gets somebody taken off, sent off, then scores a penalty, and then they just decide to stop playing. And you could actually see, not smell it or sense it, you can see the fear. They sit off against the worst 10 players in the Premier League, in Everton. It's incredible cowardice. I mean, everything that Antonio Conte has said, I mean, if you feel sorry for him, he's a serial winner both as a player and as a manager, and he's had to sit with them.
I don't know. I feel sorry for him, because you're saying he has to sit with them, right? But he knew what he was going into, and he's brought a few of these players in, and he hasn't at times. Yeah, but at times, Pete, like he goes away to Burnley last year and gets beaten, and he throws the biggest fucking strop, right, after the game. Now I have no problem with a manager coming out and going, it wasn't good enough. End the fucking story. Right, but then you walk in and you absolutely start smashing the place up with the players in there. I have no issue with that. With Conte, and Kev O'Sullivan asked the question very early on, which I'll ask in a few minutes. With Conte, for me, he knew what he was getting into. He probably knows it doesn't suit him, and Levy knows it doesn't suit him. But they want, because of the stadium, they need to be in the Champions League. The cost of all this, they need someone that's just going to win and go, I'll get you Champions League. It won't be nice. It mightn't last. But I'll get you in the Champions League. And that's exactly how it's played out. Let's be honest, Pete. Me, you, and the dog on the street knew this was going to play out like this. It was just a matter of time, no?
Yeah, To be
Yeah.
fair.
Okay.
He was never ever gonna be Mr. Tottenham, let's be honest. But I prefer to see somebody, and I don't know why they do, somebody like a Graham Potter go in there and let Tottenham play football the way they're supposed to play football. It's all they understand. Even, it's like you say, even when Spurs are kind of challenging for things and it's not pretty, they're not happy. I mean, listen, I did my coaching badges at Tottenham, and my ex was a massive Tottenham fan, so I was there all the time for 2 or 3 years between 2008 and 2011. And if they're not, they were when one day Ramos came in at that time, and they were smashing people in pre-season. They were looking at the football, going, "This ain't going to be pretty." They were when Harry came in then, and it was just knocking the ball around. They crept up the table. They just enjoy the football. I haven't seen a group of fans that genuinely don't care about the not that they don't care about the results, they genuinely cared about the style of football more so than even trophies. Maybe because they're not used to winning them, but they really, it's if you're not playing the right football. When Ozzy Ardiles, for example, when we were kids, was in charge, they were like pigs in shite. They loved it. They had five up front before anybody ever tried that. They were getting beaten 5-4. They were winning 4-3, and they loved it. None of them ever talked about or talk about league tables position. They still to this day talk about Darren Anderton, Jurgen Klinsmann, Teddy Sheringham,
The
Dimitrescu,
Tottenham
that,
way.
that massive front five that made you really enjoy the game. And you kind of have to go fair play to them. They're kind of old school that way. But, Conte, you're dead right. Conte was never going to fit in. It was never going to be. I mean, any club would be like, yeah, let's just play Champions League every year, see how it goes, but not them. So, but because, in my view, he's so right about calling them a bunch of cowards, I think that's why I was going to switch to them being losers. But Everton, for me, when you look at their spend, Gav, when you look at the amount of money that they spent, not above board, and when you look at how bad as well, for the same reasons as you'd look at Arsenal, except inverted. The league is so bad that it's set up for Everton with all the investment they've made on the park to at least bother the top 6 to 8. But I mean, they just continue to do the things that it's almost like they're a parody of themselves. Let's get the least qualified man. We've seen him not being able to manage at Derby County. Yeah, Liverpool fans and Liverpool don't like him, so he'll do for us. He gets us. For me, they're just the biggest bunch of losers I've ever seen. When you consider when we were kids, they really were a diamond threat. I mean, you dreaded that game. I was afraid of them. I was afraid of them. You look at them now; they're a party. It's incredible. It's incredible the things they celebrate. You'll never see a bigger fall from grace in football. Never.
Okay. Dicko, we spoke a bit about Everton earlier, so I'm going to put this to you. From Kevin Sullivan, he says, a straw poll, and people in the chat can vote on it as well. Who has the harder job, the new Chelsea boss or the new Spurs boss? Because I have no idea, he says.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's a really good question. God, I mean, in some ways, I think Chelsea's the bigger mess. I mean, the transfer policy has been all over the shop. They just seem to sign players for the sake of it, and there seems to be no coherent sort of plan or strategy. I think they've probably got a bigger job to do to actually bring something together. They're still hanging on to the likes of Havertz and Sterling, as transfers that clearly haven't worked. They brought in Enzo Fernandez and the other fella Mudryk. I mean, again, that would seem to be for the sake of signing players. Even the keeper situation now seems to be yo-yoing and stuff. So, it's I think Chelsea is an absolute mess. I mean, it's amazing, really. You're talking about one of the last 8 in the Champions League. Let's not forget. I mean, I know they're playing Real Madrid, but you just never know with these things. They could find themselves stumbling into the semi-finals. It would just be absolutely amazing. On the other hand, I think Tottenham, in a way, I don't think they're a million miles away. I think it's more a mentality thing with them. I think they've got the sort of they've got the personnel almost. I don't think that squad is awful. I think it's more than capable of delivering top four. I just think you need someone to come in with and instill the belief and have a bit of faith in the players. And I think the right man for the job can steady and right that ship far quicker than I think turning around the mess at Chelsea. And also, I mean, I know obviously Daniel Levy isn't the easiest owner, but like that Todd Bowley fella just doesn't. He just seems to be all over the shop, and he seems to interfere in ways that you just don't want him getting involved.
I have visions of him sitting at a slot machine, right, and just pulling the handle. Like, yeah, dude, Todd, come here, listen. What do you reckon for this fella? And he just goes, hold on. He just pulls the handle and he goes, yes. Fucking go 20 million over the number and don't sell anybody. Like, and then the next reel comes around and it's like, yeah, go 10 million over the number, but still sell nobody. You know what I mean? Like, he's fucking, like, the third reel on the slot machine is fucked, and Todd doesn't give a bollocks, right? For me,
I think Todd Bowley would pick the phone up to Ted Lasso and try and get him in there. I mean,
or like Boyden. Just ring Boyden and go, well, if Palace are doing it, fuck that. Like, why don't you just Boyden get him in? You know what I mean? Mad stuff. But for me, your excuses in both clubs are lined up for you, right? Chelsea is a mad shop. They're obviously just buying players off the rack, and we don't care if your managers are not, right. Easier to get players in at Chelsea, yeah, because they'll probably spend more. But I look at that Chelsea team and I'm kind of going, who are these fellas, right? Where did he fucking play? And there's no way Potter was buying them. No fucking way was he buying them, right?
No.
And I said it from the start, Potter should have never went there. He wanted a big job, I fully get that, but he would have been much better at Spurs, because the expectation wouldn't have been as high on him. He probably would have got more time, and he does play a nice brand of football, but he likes to progress a club as well. At Spurs, your excuses are there for you in the fact that Levy's mad. There's talk of them wanting to sell a minority share. They have the stadium that they have to pay for. Of course, we're taking out big loans during COVID. So there's a lot. Then you have the fact that, well, Mourinho and Conte done this to me squad, and this is what I was left with. It's not what I do. So there's loads of excuses there for any manager going in, and a payday at the end of it, let's be honest. With both of them, though, when you look at both of them, dare I say it, Chelsea need a Mourinho. And I mean that. And I'm not saying go and get him tomorrow. Someone like Mourinho. They need someone that is kind of going, I'll spend your money, but I'll be ruthless. And people think always, no, Mourinho signed you, older players, blah, 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 blah. Mourinho only does that when he's limited with funds. Go back to 2004 when he was signing Damien Duff. He was signing Joe Cole. He doesn't sign Frank Lampard. But he signs Drogba at 23 years of age. Arjen Robben. He's signing them all where they're about to hit their prime, and he knows his machine is going to kick off because he knows he's unlimited spend, and he's willing to take the chance on these younger fellas. And if they don't work, he'll move them on and bring someone in, like when De Bruyne. I don't know if he signed Salah, but Chelsea need someone like that. They need someone that's absolutely ruthless, right, to go along with this fella that's fucking a fruitcake, right? Spurs need someone that comes in and goes, I know the limitations here, but I'm only taking the job if I get 3 years to sort this out. 3 years to put my stamp on it. And at the start of the fourth year, if I lose the first 10 games of the season, by all means, sack me. But there's no point in going and doing this fucking gig and this jig every single season or every 2 seasons for Spurs. Because A, they don't have the financial capabilities to keep it up. And B, they don't have a fan base that has in any way, like Pete said, if you're not playing good football, they don't want to know. So you need to bring someone in where they go, not a yes man, because people think, if they come in, they're getting a yes man. Not that. Someone that comes in and says, I think they should be all over your man at Brentford, right? For the reason being, he comes in and he says to Spurs, yeah, I'm stepping up from Brentford. Fine. But I've done a long-term thing here at Brentford, right? Where it's gone from possibly League One right through to the Premier League. We've kept us in the league. We're up in 8th or 9th at the minute. But I want to bring that into Spurs where we go from 5th or 6th. And we might go 6th, 5th, but then we make the top four. And when we make the top four, we're ready. Spurs always feel like they're not ready. They get into that top four and they go, they're Champions League, but they're not ready. Because straight away you look at their squad and you go, not good enough. And they don't have the money to go and spend it. And it's all about arriving at that destination ready with all your bags. You know, they haven't left it on the runway. It's all about arriving at that destination with your bags intact. And Spurs don't feel like that to me. So I don't know who's going to go where, but
yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's two very, very curious jobs for me.
Yeah, I think what you touch on there around, Thomas Frank and managers stepping up from clubs like that. I think Potter's now a cautionary tale, really, both for the manager and I think it might put off some clubs as well, trying to bring, a manager who's elevated someone into a position in the league above what you would normally expect. And I think, from the manager's perspective, you've got to really take stock of what you build and where you're at, and whether it's worth taking that risk to go and leave all that behind and go into a madhouse of a club like a Chelsea or a Tottenham, and risk everything, your reputation, everything you've achieved at a club like Brentford.
I think the Chelsea one is a cautionary tale. Because you're going in there where you're not signing the players and you're literally going from, like Potter's gone from 12th in the Premier League, just like call it that as an average position, right? To, we want to be number one, which is absolutely fine with a certain structure. But we want to be number one and there's a fella over here and he's just signing fucking players, right? And they're just going to drop them on your door. That never works. Never works, right? Just doesn't, right? Oh no, but I just trained the team and they give me all the players. Will you stop it? Do you know what I mean? It'd be like me saying I drive a forklift and they bring a pallet truck to me every fucking day. It doesn't work. It doesn't do the same things that I wanted to do. So I think they have two very curious jobs. It'll be interesting to see who goes for them. And I think both of them might leave it till the end of the season to make any decision on it, to see exactly where they are. Because if things are to be believed, Chelsea need to start balancing books and balancing them fucking quick. You know what I mean? They thought they were cute at the start, but it's a bit shaky.
Now, Spurs will do what they always do lately under Daniel. They'll panic. They're probably talking to Pochettino already because they want to try and salvage the Champions League spot. And I think that the smart thing is, you look at with Chelsea, you look at the personnel that they've got, and you think of, okay, if someone like a Conte is available, for example, if he had made that speech about Chelsea players, he'd have gotten a different reaction from them because it's a different set of guys who are more secure. The likes of Kovacevic and even young Havertz would think, okay, you want to say that about me? I'm going to show you that I'm world class. These guys can do that for 6 or 7 weeks before they'll have another defeat. So they'll probably revert, as you guys are saying, they'll revert to type, which is the smart thing to do. Chelsea's type is, we've got a bunch of arseholes, 22 of them to be exact. So we need an arsehole manager, in the mould of a Jose Mourinho who's available. And Spurs need a gardener, somebody who can really. There's a lot of fragile and damaged people in that squad. I look at, for example, Son. Son for me is the best player by a mile Spurs have, but he's been a shadow of himself. He's not the type of young fella that can be attacked by somebody like Conte and survive it. He needs to be told, so off a great kid, you're doing, even though he's 29, you're a great lad, you're doing your job, la la la. They have a lot of fragile people, it seems, and that's Spurs all over. So they need somebody in there like a Potter who wouldn't be a threat to them. They wouldn't look at him and go, he was a great player, so I better react here, or he's been a great manager. They'll go, this fella's kind of going to be in awe of me, so he'll encourage my talents. So they'll revert.
But the problem you have there is, Pete, is that if you brought in a Potter to Spurs and Spurs players had that feeling on them, that's a massive problem because straight away your manager isn't given the respect, and at the flick of a button, whoever in that dressing room the whole sway can just turn it toxic whenever they feel like it. You know, Harry Kane wants to leave. Right now he's out with contract, not this season, the next season, isn't it? Harry Kane wants to leave this summer. No, we're not selling you. Turn it toxic. Just flick the switch, flick it, and that's where the problem is. But it's not only about the manager that comes in; it's about what the club tell everybody. You know, if your man, what's his name off Brentford?
Thomas Frank.
Yeah, if he shows up, people will go, well, Brentford, my player. But if the club go to the players and go, listen, we're doing this over the next 3 to 4 years. He's going to be here. Now, if you want to be part of it, great. If you don't and you want to be a prick about it, off you go. Because we're literally cleaning out here. And I think someone else said it there. The first thing they should do was probably get rid of Kane and do a rebuild from there. I don't think it's that much of a reach, because Harry Kane. I always have this argument with Shawnee over Harry Kane. Shawnee will say, listen, once he's scoring goals in the Premier League, he won't give a fuck. But I have this thing in my head where Harry Kane. Do you remember when it was even talk of leaving to Man City? The Spurs fans were like, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? We don't care what you've done for us. That kind of sits in the back of my head where Harry Kane might go, you know what? I'm going to fucking stay here. And I'm going to do the 3 or 4 years with this manager. And it hasn't happened for me in the last fucking 10 years. But my legacy would be amazing if I'd done 3 more years here and at the end of it got a trophy and put this next squad onto the next plateau, wherever they want to be. But then part of me does just go United. Bang goals every week. More of a chance of winning stuff.
Because
he wants that share. He wants that share of record. I think his best move would be Bayern Munich, because forget goal scoring records, right? He goes to Bayern Munich. He's guaranteeing himself 3 league titles, probably a couple of cups over there, and if he signs a 4-year deal, if he signs a 4-year deal, he gets 4 goals at the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
He's in a bit of a Stevie G dilemma, though, isn't he? Really, he's at that point where he can be a lifetime, legend and whatnot, or he can turn his back on the club, and they probably will. It probably will be a scenario where it'll really sour.
But if Spurs won a cup this season, or a Europa League, or whatever the fuck they're in, right? And then he went, people go, look, he's won a trophy with us. We haven't won a trophy since 2009, I think it is. Fair play to him. He's given us everything. He's our top scorer ever. He wants that the Premier League top scorer thing is the big one, where he could go to United and probably get to it quicker with a chance of trophies. It's just it's the Spurs one is a bit all over the place. But anyway, we've 10 minutes to go, and Brendan Rodgers' days at Leicester City are over. Beaten by Roy Attenborough Hodgson at the weekend. Goal up, lose 2-1, and it's about fucking time, Dicko. I'm gonna say it. It's about how has he lasted that long with the squad he has? Because Graham Potter's linked with going in there. I think Graham Potter goes in there tomorrow and says, right, let's do our best of the weekend, but I'm going to get a full weekend to use then for the next one. I think he pulls clear there. No problem. The squad they have is far superior than anything else down there. And Rodgers is just there treading water and thumbs up to people and clapping them and all. And how has he lasted that long, Dicko?
Well, yeah, he looked early part of the season. I think we were discussing who was going to go first. Was it going to be Stevie G or was it going to be Brendan Rodgers? End up being Scott Parker, didn't it? After we won 9-0, Stevie G didn't last that much longer. It was toss of a coin really at the start of the season. They were on a horrendous run. He seemed to kind of rally the troops a bit, and obviously they pulled themselves up the table a little bit. But the last few weeks they've been absolutely dire. And they've shown, they've capitulated a few times. I watched that United game where, in fairness, they could have been a couple of goals up, and then they just, once they hit a bit of adversity, they were nowhere to be seen. The squad's kind of in tatters a little bit. There's still 1 or 2 nice players.
I think there's some really good players in it.
Harvey Barnes is a nice player. I mean, you wouldn't say no to him. Maddison's still at a decent level. Obviously Vardy's coming towards the twilight of his career.
He seems to have phased him out.
Yeah,
he doesn't play as much. But you look at Dewsbury.
Still quick playing.
Yeah, but you look at Dewsbury Hall. There's players there. Pereira at right back. Castanha's a good player.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper situation has bit them on this season. Yeah. I mean, Schmeichel.
But the guy at the weekend makes 3 or 4 really good saves.
Yeah.
To keep them ahead, and then he just can't do anything about the goals, in fairness to him. But, like, Pete, I'm going to ask you both the same question after this one, but, Pete, were you surprised he lasted that long?
Yeah,
because
I think Brendan.
He always comes across as a man to me that if this is going badly, I'm going to struggle massively to turn it around. Because do you remember he had about 8 formations in that cup semi-final against Aston Villa, and now he's just decided I'm going the complete opposite and I'm not changing anything. You know what I mean? And he just same, and players just get bored.
I just think Brendan is one of them fellas that goes up to a boardroom, speaks to the directors, and convinces them that he's right. He's a very, very strong personality. I mean, you look at what he done at Celtic. I mean, I know everybody looks at Scottish football and thinks
But
it's
Celtic fans are absolutely thrilled at this news for anything I've seen
no, of
online as
course,
well.
but he's a very when he was there. The thing about Brendan is when he's on your side. I mean, I remember when we had him, and he was putting it up to Pep, and it was, all the money, and and then you see the documentary. When he's on your side, that style, you kind of buy into it. And you go, yeah, in Brendan we trust and all this. But then when you kind of look at it through the rear view, you just think it's a lot of bluff, and a lot of what Brendan is. For me, Brendan's an academy coach. He's one of them that's used to, and I always look at where fellas come from and where they were strong. So he starts off really at Reading, in control of a lot of promising kids. And I think that shapes your own dynamic for the way you approach football. It's about control. It's about, people in their formative years. It's not really about dealing with adults. The way he deals with Raheem Sterling, for example, at Liverpool, is it's car crash stuff. You don't deal with humans, adults like that in a way. You might deal with a 14-year-old in that way. So that tells me everything I need to know about Brendan. So when it's working and when you're winning games, you go, Jesus, he's some man, some this. But when you're losing games, it's like, no. But and that's what I think the miracle is of him staying so long, because I'm amazed that the Jamie Vardys of this world who's not playing and some of the senior players haven't gone upstairs and went, listen, I've won a Premier League medal. This fella hasn't. I want him gone. What the fuck is going on? Usually you'd get that, but he survived that for long enough, and look at where they are. So I think Brendan is a product of his own. He has all the slogans and all the chat, and he gets away with it for a long time. And you must remember, an awful lot of chairmen sadly aren't football people. They can't smell the bullshit sometimes coming. They look at the table and they watch the crowds and they see people protest and they see the figures go down financial, and then they make a move. But as you're in the 15th and Brendan is coming up to your room saying, don't worry, this is happening, that's happening, we'll turn it around. We have Tielemans, we have all these guys, and they're all, and you listen to, oh yeah, okay, Brendan, we'll give it another 6 weeks, see how it goes. You run when the minute you hit that bottom tree, you get away with it. Or you stop getting away with it, really, especially at Leicester.
Thor says when Gav was drinking when he heard the Rodgers news, I'll never forgive his treatment of Gerrard or the Reds B team in Madrid. Rested the players and still lost the next league game. And Andy Kaufman says, Gav hates Rodgers. Why so passionate? When Brendan Rodgers got the Liverpool job, I was all for it because I thought Liverpool needed a new direction. Stop all this, boot room stuff. It's too romantic. We need a clean slate here, beyond what you think is a clean slate, right? I loved him at Liverpool. I loved him in 13-14. 12-13 was an okay season, but you could see what he was trying to build. 13-14, absolutely brilliant, right? I can't fault him whatsoever. I don't care if people want to bring up, a sub he made or a player he played. You cannot fault him for 13-14 under any circumstances. 14-15, funnily enough, Roy Hodgson screws him over by overtraining Daniel Sturridge at a international break in the August. Liverpool had gone to Spurs and won 2-0. Balotelli had played, and Sturridge was great. And he specifically told England, don't overtrain him, and he did. And Sturridge came back and was never the same player, right? From August 2014 to the time he left Liverpool in June 2019, I think it was, right? It's 14-15 that does it for me. He should have left that club when they were beating 6-1 away at Stoke.
It still baffles me.
End of fucking story. You can say what you want about Real Madrid. You can say what you want about what it was thought were behind it. It was mental at the time, but he was trying to get himself into top four. And we've seen Klopp do it where he puts his eggs in the Europa League basket, right? And that's fine. I can forgive that to a certain stage, but I understand people going, well, we're Liverpool going to the Bernabeu. You don't do that. I see both sides of the argument, right? But you give him some sort of benefit of doubt. But when that man manages Liverpool in Gerrard's last home league game, by the way, the week before they were beating 3-1 at home by Palace, they go to Stoke and they're fucking 5-0 down at half time, I think it was, right? And they're 6-1, right? To the point where the Stoke players pulling up to try let Gerrard go through and score a goal because they feel fucking bad for him, right? And he stays in the job. He fucks all his staff under the bus in order to keep his own job and brings other people in and is shit again, right? And still doesn't have the grace to turn and say, this isn't it. I should have went. Enough's enough. He didn't. He waited and waited and waited, right, for him to be the man where, oh, they got rid of me. He still didn't have the grace, and that's why I don't like fucking Brendan Rodgers. He turns up at Celtic then, where I was surprised he got it. Turns up and tells you it's his dream job. Celtic is his fucking dream job. And Leicester fucking City come. Now remember, Celtic are on a run here to go 10 in a row, which is Rangers and Celtic both have 9 in a row. Celtic from the late 60s, early 70s, 60s, 70s. Rangers done it from the early mid 80s up into the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, the late 80s to the late 90s, because Celtic stopped them on the final day in 98 from doing 10, right? And he turns up there and he has the whole club in his hands. And their song was about Brendan Rodgers leading them to 10 in a row, and he would have done it. And it's straight away, more cameras on me, more attention, I'm gone for Leicester City. No disrespect to Leicester City. They're in a better league. They're more funded. But if he'd have done 10 in a row at Celtic, I promise you, he could have just decided that he wanted to visit fucking Roy Hodgson once a week to discuss Ron Seal varnish and is it any good if it's out of date for years, and lived off it as the biggest legend, apart from probably Jock Stein at Celtic, and he didn't. He ran for the fucking hills. And he's tried to run from the hills at Leicester as well, by the way, right, for Spurs and Arsenal when they were in bad times. And I promise you now, he'll go and he'll fucking lure himself, he'll lure a club in here somewhere, and I just don't like him. And that's the reasons why. It's actually not because of football results, really.
Yeah,
it's one football result.
It's who he
is.
It's
him. And I loved him. But then I seen another side to him where I just despise him.
No, you're right, Gav. You're right. You're right. It's Brendan's about Brendan. You know, Brendan's about Brendan. He thinks he's entitled to. You know, I think he was at Chelsea as well. I think Chelsea rubbed off on him. Do you know what I mean? He still has a lot of Chelsea scum on him, to be quite honest with you. No, you're right. You're right. You know, there's that smarm off. He's a smarmy bastard, to be fair.
Patty says, Gav, you can't blame Roy on Sturridge's injuries. The kid had a career full of them prior to the Chelsea days. No, Patty, the story behind that is that he was released to go to England and he was told to be put on a dedicated training, setup that Liverpool had him in to keep him fit and not to overdo him. And England completely ignored it. And he comes back with, I think it might have been a groin or a hamstring. And genuinely, for 5 years, is not the same player off the back of that injury. You know what I mean? I know he had got injuries, but just treat him properly, I mean, he mightn't have. And really fucking got to me there.
I thought Daniel was the best natural finisher we had since Robbie Fowler, to be honest with you.
Jono says, would rather win the FA Cup at Leicester than win 10 in a row at Celtic. I don't know if you mean you would rather, Jono.
No, he would.
Brendan would, yeah.
Brendan would, maybe. I don't know if you feel that, Jono, but I promise you, and I think Jono's Irish anyway, so he probably knows. You win 10 in a row at Celtic and, like, that's it. Like, statues. They're carving out buildings in the city which are facing it. You know what I mean? It's like Rushmore. Like, it's ridiculous.
My prediction on Brendan is...
that's the question I was going to ask. So I'll let you go first and then Pete. Where do you think he ends up?
I think Roy does the job till the end of the season. I think he ends up at Palace.
You think he ends up at Palace after Roy sorts everything out?
After Roy finally goes off into the sunset, age 77, whatever it is. Yeah.
That's an interesting one because I don't know if it suits him. I think in his own mind, I think he wants a club where he can go in and go, let's spend 50 million on that fella. The following week, let's spend 30 on that fella. I think he wants to be in that. He wants to be at the big boys' table, and I don't mean in a sense of the biggest clubs. You know, I think he'd absolutely snap your hand off to go to Newcastle because it's that sort of. Here's Brendan Rodgers. Like, I can guarantee if he ends up in Newcastle, right, he'd be on the fucking Time Bridge or wherever the big thing is up there, right, or what's that Angel of the North thing or whatever, with like fucking with Messi, you know, with the Newcastle. Be all about Brendan. Be all about Brendan the signings, and I don't think it's the biggest club he wants to go to. I think he wants to be seen as being in the race.
Yeah.
And you know, being in the race for all the big players. And look at me, I'm Brendan Rodgers, you know. But he may end up at Palace.
I think he might just have to restore his reputation a little bit, and then he potentially at Palace for a couple of years, and the stars align for him to end up at maybe Newcastle. I don't know. Still young enough.
A few there said there was one in particular said, do you reckon Moyes will get sacked by West Ham and he'll end up there? I could see him there. Because I think West Ham will throw finances at it, and it's in London, and it's a bit fucking snazzy. Snazzier than Palace. You know, the bigger stadium. It's all about perception.
Exactly.
That's what he's ended up with. But
Swagger.
where would you think?
I think Brendan has a band of clubs. I agree with you. So the likes of Newcastle, Aston Villa, Tottenham, maybe West Ham at a stretch, you know, with the financial situation. Someone like a Wolves, someone that are underperforming but are well financed. Brendan won't go down and have to deal with kids to bring them back to, because the way he sees it, that's 2 or 3 steps backwards. He won't want to have to. He wouldn't want to go to a Brentford and play Moneyball, for example. That'd be beneath his perception of himself, even though it might suit who he is, and it might suit the coach that he pertains to be honest with you. But no, a sleeping giant where they're throwing 50, 60 million at a Portuguese legend. Brendan would love a Wolves. Look at all of the individual moving parts at Wolves, for example, and the money that's been pumped in for all these Portuguese players. That would suit Brendan down to the ground, because he in fairness, that's the sort of job that he would do well.
But my only thing on that would be is that who's your man that's running Wolves? The agent fella.
Yeah.
What's his name?
He's a big time agent.
Right. His name's gone completely in my head. But I don't know if Brendan will be all right with that, because that means that Brendan isn't calling the shots. Brendan wants to stand there as the head of this club that are going, we can do this, we have that clout, we have this, you know, name up in lights. That's what he wants. And I don't know if the club there right for him. You know, Jono says, I know in Ireland you have a fondness for Celtic, but that league is absolutely shy. It's the same if PSG won 10 in a row in France. Who cares? Yeah, there's a massive support for Celtic in Ireland. Me personally, I'd watch Celtic if they're on the telly, but I wouldn't be. I'm a big Celtic fan.
Well, I tell you, the way your man Ange Postecoglou has them playing, I watch them every week. I mean,
yeah, no, they're really good. But the thing is, it's not the same if PSG won 10 in a row, because there's 2 clubs up there that go for each other most seasons, right? And that's the thing. And Jono, tell you what to do: go to Glasgow, right? And you don't even have to go to the game. Just go be around the city of Glasgow on the weekend of a Celtic Rangers game, and you'll see what it means. It's off the fucking charts. Mendes is the name of the guy it was, and that's where he left. That's where he left.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I've been to Celtic Rangers a few times at night, a nighttime game at Celtic Park, and I wasn't lucky enough to get a ticket in the Irish end, you know. But basically, most fans that are watching the game, they divide their time between watching the match and watching the Irish end. But they're just, even regular Celtic are just in awe of what comes across from Ireland. It's like, you know, it's like a jungle of just madness. It's you have to.
Yeah, no, it is. It's an incredible experience. Wizard says, Gav, Roy Hodgson should be playing lawn bowls. Roger screwed himself over. I'd love a fucking game of lawn bowls. Genuinely. I could see myself on a summer's day, right, in a little lawn bowls club, and they've like a little shed with just a keg of Guinness in it, and you're just swamping the Guinness, playing lawn bowls, and Mick is over there, and all the lads.
Roy Hodgson.
Honestly, I'd play lawn bowls with Roy Hodgson, no problem. I love that. Palace, you think Palace? I think he's definitely going to go and try it. Have a go at that Spurs job, and it wouldn't surprise me if he went and had a go at that Chelsea job and basically told Todd Bowley, "Yeah, sign me you like. I can do this, no fucking problem." Because Brendan Rodgers just wants to be standing beside them when they're doing the lean at Cobham or Stamford Bridge. Other than that, I really don't know, because he's not. He probably sees Leicester as a top 10 team, and he wants to go up the ranks. So he's definitely going to throw himself at them 2 jobs. The only thing left for Brendan Rodgers to do, but the only thing left to do is to probably fuck off to France and Holland and start trying to put on an accent in the interviews, like McLaren and Joey Barton.
Yeah, McLaren-esque.
But every time I say the name Steve McLaren, I think of the time he was doing. Do you remember he was in the Sky Sports studio and they were playing Iceland? And the Euros, and he was like, England are on top here now. I know it's 1-1, but they're on top, and if they just keep doing what they're doing, they should get the next goal. And then he goes, "Oh no!" And he goes, "What's happened? What's happened, Steve?" And he goes, "Iceland have scored. It's 2-1." And he doesn't give this big monologue about how England can do this. It was, and listen, people go, "Oh, you're Irish, that's why you loved it." It wasn't. It was just the timing of it was fucking exceptional. But Pete, where does he end? Where do you think?
I think he'll hold out. I'd say his agent. He has his agent ringing Tottenham every day. He has his agent ringing Tottenham every day. Even though Spurs will have the horn for to get Pochettino back in, I expect Pochettino to go back in there. But if they fail to negotiate properly with Pochettino, I'd say Brendan would say, "Listen, I'll even take it till the end of the season," because he'll fancy himself to get them fourth and then the push for the job. Because they won't sack a man. Whoever gets them fourth, if they manage to get them fourth, they'll keep that job.
Well, the thing is, when you look at it, the big elephant in the room is your man Nagelsmann. That's the big in the room.
Yeah.
You know, but Nagelsmann's probably looking at it going, like, there's more Chelsea. I think he suits Chelsea more than Spurs. Because Nagelsmann to me seems like he just wants the attention as well. And I shudder when I think of being linked with the Liverpool job. But like, it's just it's Ant says, haha, that was great. Loves making a tool of himself, McLaren. It was just one of the best things I've ever seen. A couple of things, the best things I've ever seen. And you're bringing back memories now, and I'll keep going right for a few minutes. But do you remember when Mourinho come back to Chelsea for the second time, and I think he won a league or whatever, and they were interviewing this family. I think it might have been at the Chelsea flower show or something like that. And the outfit is standing there. Have you ever seen this? The outfit is standing. The man is in his 50s, I'd say, but there's him, there's his wife, and there's the two daughters. Now, the two daughters, I'd say, were in their late 20s, early 30s. And he starts singing this song about Jose Mourinho. And your man interviewing him was like, "Oh, you have a song there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Jose Mourinho, the man who stole this show," right? And then he looks at the daughter and the wife, and they go, "Jose Mourinho," right? And they're doing like the backing track for him. It's one of the most amazing fucking things I've ever seen. You have to go and look it up. And the third one is the lads in the park singing "You've Just Got Caned" about Harry Kane. If you look that up, like, I'm giving you gold here. So look up "You've Just Got Caned." Just type in fucking random park. You've just got caned. It's like this guy, right? He's whiter than paste, this fella, right? And he's all the gear now, and he's all these fellas with hoods on them or behind him, and he starts going, "You just got caned," and he starts slamming onto the ground and jumping back up like this, like hip mob, and it's so fucking funny, right? Check that out. Then check out Mourinho song. I think it was at the Chelsea Flower Show, and then the McLaren stuff is just fucking exceptional. So there you go. I'm trying to see if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but they're so bleeding funny. I'm actually going to go and watch them now. They're brilliant.
Can we quickly do a couple of minutes on my actual loser, which was Arthur at the weekends?
Oh yeah, him. Yeah,
he gets left out of everything. He even got left out of his show.
Should never play with the club again.
No, shocking. I mean, it was shocking.
I'd rather if he just elbowed him in the face, got 3 games for it, and you just go, "You're not playing enemy, but we have your respect." But he's shaking hands with fucking thing while he scored. What did you make of it, Dicko? Were you amused by it? I just think, what is going on?
He basically became part of the celebration, didn't he? Like, that's essentially what he complied with Pep's little pantomime. I mean, he was already. I don't know what.
I feel like a steward shaking the manager's hand, like they do with Benitez. He used to do with Benitez all the time after goal. That's what it felt like to me.
It was so belittling, you know. It was just. You know, I don't know what was going on. Did he say after the game that his son was up in the stands or something? He was making some kind of song and dance when they scored the second goal, and then obviously they scored the third goal and the fourth goal. It just seemed to go, you know, he just seems to be ramping it up, the kind of rubbing it in type of celebration. But to try and bring, you know, Tsimikas. And then obviously Arthur complying with his request for the handshake while he's kind of doing his little jig. I mean, it was just like it's for me, like, his signing has been a car crash anyway. I mean, there was a lot of parallels with sort of, you know, Ben Davies and whatnot. It's become a bit of a running joke now in terms of the desperation of getting that signing done at the last minute, last seconds. Yeah. And I mean, okay, we have actually in his case seen him on the pitch, albeit briefly, but to basically just, you know, kind of seems to be part of the bench week in, week out without any real intent to get on the pitch. But like he's written himself into kind of Liverpool kind of folklore for all the wrong reasons now. Like that's not that he had a future anyway, but that to a lot of Liverpool fans was just like unforgivable, really.
Rory says, a couple of comments here. Rory says, it wasn't just shaking the hand. He then puts his hand up to his mouth to have a conversation. Right?
Yeah.
I want to get a few of these in. Just Hannah says, Liverpool fans getting upset about Arthur is like Man United fans getting upset about Wakehurst, who touched the Anfield sign. I think they're completely different, Hannah. I think Wakehurst touches the sign, and then he comes out with some sort of thing like I was trying to stop VVD from the thing. And I was like, what are you talking about? Right? And they were slowing it down in slow motion. Like they were doing a VAR on this fucking thing, right? But it's... I've no problem if say for argument's sake, Liverpool have a Spanish player that forever fucking supported Real Madrid, and Liverpool go to the Bernabeu and there's a plaque, and he touches it on the way out, right? Because he's a lifelong Real Madrid fan. I've no issue with that, right? But what's done there the weekend, right? Jono says Pep did his smart ass comments after the game, but there was one there that caught me eye. Hold on, I'm gonna find it because it was perfectly put. Oh yeah, Ant says Pep said after the game, he said, "How good was their goal?" to the two Liverpool subs. Makes it even worse. The baldy loser. Get Arthur the fuck by the way, right? But to me, look, he wins the game, right? But it shows his insecurities again towards Liverpool.
Oh, big time.
He's looking at that like he definitely like, this is the fella that told you he didn't care about the league 10 weeks ago. When Arsenal were 8, 9, 10 points clear. He completely does. And he looked at that game on Saturday and went, this is the one. If we don't win this, it's over. And these are the pricks that could stop us doing it. And I'm okay with him jumping around, and our manager does it. I'm absolutely okay with him jumping around and screaming and shouting and celebrating. And he's made a complete tit of himself against Liverpool, both at the Etihad in a European Cup quarter final, if you remember, where he gets sent to the stands, and then at Anfield where he just keeps pointing number 2 at fucking referees for about an hour and a half, right? So he's made a complete tit of himself. I've no problem with jumping around, and Jurgen Klopp does it, but Jurgen Klopp doesn't jump into other opposition teams' faces or players' faces as they're walking past him to say how good was their goal, and that's Pep Guardiola's insecurities. He won the game, but that's his insecurity. There's no doubt about that, because I think he's a brilliant manager. I think he's a brilliant coach. I think he's a great thinker in the game. I think he's a great student of the game, because I think what from me, and Klopp's the same. They've taken so much from other managers throughout the years and implemented it in a slightly different way, but it's the same basis. But his insecurities for me showed at the weekend. And for me, like, I know where Hannah's coming from. You know, don't get too upset. But I would much rather a player go, get the fuck away from you, right? Throw an arm up and say, would you ever fuck off away from me? But he deliberately tried to bring a Liverpool player and shake his hand and shout at him how good was their goal into the conversation, when he should be celebrating with Man City, but he couldn't. It's all his attention was straight away onto Liverpool.
To Liverpool, yeah. And something like that deserved a flashpoint for me, you know.
Oh, well, I'm giving him a dig in the mouth. Like,
if something
there's no doubt about it.
A bit of fisticuffs and a bit of pushing around and you know, a piling from the sidelines. It was something like that.
Yeah, because honestly, like, if Pep Guardiola does that to me and he's up in my face, how good was their goal? And he's trying to do this, I'd have him by the throat, and then, well, that's what I think of it.
Yeah,
I'll act out my reaction to you, please. But Arthur, I don't know what the fuck he's at, to be quite honest.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You're talking about the most heavily funded manager the world has ever seen. A club that cheats at absolutely everything, and has had every advantage handed to them, and he's had every advantage handed to him. And his main, not even obsession, his main preoccupation, I think it goes beyond being preoccupied. I think he envies. I think Pep Guardiola, if he could go back and manage Liverpool, he would give anything, because he knows the type of hero he would be managing Liverpool.
No, I think
the winning would be organic. I think he envies anybody that he comes across in a red shirt. Jurgen Klopp more than anyone. I think he looks at it and goes, if only it was with them, I could really prove how great I am. He knows, doesn't matter what he does, that nobody will ever. He has no legacy other than he spent billions, and it kills him. So his immediate reaction isn't to go to his own lads. Oh yes, lads, is to go And look at me, Liverpool guy in red or whoever you are. It's actually sad to the point where you think, you'll retire with millions in the bank, all these trophies that won't mean a thing. The penalty that Tsimikas scored in the final to win the League Cup against Chelsea will mean more to his career than everything that Pep Guardiola will have won at Manchester City.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I agree with you. I think Pep has come to the realization that even if he wins the European Cup at Man City, people are just going to go, well, yeah, but
Only one.
it took you fucking 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it took you whatever amount of years, and
money,
like it's not. It's like it's like someone going in and saying, you know, I bought one off the menu in the restaurant. I'm like, right, well, no, because you have the money to buy two off the menu, two of everything off the menu. It doesn't make sense. But he has massive insecurities, not only about Liverpool, about other things as well. But Jono says here, funny not heard much about City fans throwing bricks at the Liverpool team bus, never mind the disgraceful chanting. Surprised City didn't release a statement saying it was Klopp's fault. Well, now, and someone did say, in fairness, they did release a statement straight afterwards. They did release a statement straight afterwards with regards to the chanting in the ground. But again, and those people at the ground, right, Liverpool fans in the City end, by the way, that reported this to say 2/3 of this ground were singing this. But still not enough for the people that are commentating on the game or studio analysis who sit outside and watch it, right, when it's going on, turn and go, what's going on here? United and Liverpool come out with a joint statement before the game on Anfield, and I didn't hear a thing in that ground about anything, right? I didn't, honestly, right? But the irony of all this is that, yes, Liverpool fans, the last time at the Etihad, it might have been in the League Cup, a young girl was hit with coins, I think. Now, the talk was the coins were in a cup and it was thrown her. Liverpool fans say, no, the coins were in a cup as a collection for a bus driver and come off the edges, whatever it was. Believe who you want. Shouldn't have happened, right? Not acceptable. End of story. But the irony in all this is that Man City reduced Liverpool's allocation at the Etihad because of now they feel it's beyond a Category A game, because they feel it's toxic and they feel it's this, and they reduced it from somewhere like 3,400 down to 2,000. There's about 1,000 tickets gone off, I think, maybe a bit more. And the irony in all this is that they do this because they fear Liverpool fans might do this to the other. And what happens? Their own fans turn up, right, and just disregard what you shouldn't chant, right? Because in fairness, say what you want about United, they're mature enough and adult enough to turn and go, that stops. And we're going to tell you together it stops. Because these clubs are massive rivals. They talk to each other on a daily fucking basis, right? End of story. They do. City can't do that. City should be coming out and saying to their fans, do not sing that fucking song. Do not sing them types of songs. And like they were saying, oh, we identify this. You could just literally just go around, you have a camera on every person in that ground if you want it, right? Like they can scan so much. And the irony is they reduced Liverpool's allocation and City went and done that and then attacked the bus. Now, attack the bus, a brick hit a bus. It's not nice. Same way the Copperberg hit the bus. But honestly, when the Copperberg hit the fucking City bus, you'd swear, right? You'd swear Pearl Harbor 2 had kicked off the way this went on, right? But you see, City have sat themselves on this plateau now where it's us against the world, because they have the audacity now to question what we do and how we do it. And that's where it's leading to. And that's where it's fueling Pep, because he made a complete bollocks of it when all this stuff came out, where he said, I told the club if they ever lied to me, I'd be gone. And then he sat in that chair and he went on, I think we'd be absolutely okay. Well, you should say you know. So he's absolutely nailed his colours to that mast. And now he has to fight till the absolute death, right? And he's still known that people will go, yeah, you won all that, but you just took the easy option all the time.
It will mean nothing. I mean, Pep Guardiola, I'm old enough like you are to remember him as a player. He was a fine player, played for Barcelona, failed the drug test in Italy when he went there. His whole career, nobody speaks about him in the glowing terms. And I think he's got a huge... Those are the things, and I think those are the things you're getting at, that he has a huge... He's wondering why nobody is talking about him in the great pantheons of a manager, for example. When, for example, here in Barcelona, people talk about Johan Cruyff as a manager. They even talk about Bobby Robson. They talk about Frank Rijkaard. They don't talk about Pep, funny enough, because they're not really proud of him. Even as a player, they talk about Ronald Koeman in that position, the amount of goals that he scored from that. They don't talk about Pep Guardiola. as a manager, I think go to Bayern Munich, fail. Go to Manchester City, take 8-9 years to even look like you could get to a Champions League final. I think that's what's it's killed him. He would give anything to be in Jurgen Klopp. He would sacrifice most of those trophies to be in Jurgen Klopp's position, managing Liverpool Football Club.
I think it's gone bigger than football now. I think the situation that came around the FA investigation,
yeah,
his club's reaction, the trawling up of quotes he'd said a year previous, and then his reaction and responses in the press conferences after, I think he lured himself into that. I think he regrets it, but he has no choice now to fight. Like, this is the same fella that was saying, "Oh, should we be blamed for Steven Gerrard slipping?" What the fuck are you talking about? No one's saying anything about, you didn't win on the pitch. What they're saying is that you've made up money to fund all this. Don't pick out like some fella slipping or some fella, missed an open goal and claim going, "Well, it's not my fault as well." Like, that's the most petulant fucking childish thing I've ever heard. But that's the level he got to. That's the level he got to. So, Brian says he's just unlikable. Yeah, I think he is unlikable. Not in a footballing sense where what he's done, I think he's really good. But I think overall, I think he's unlikable. And, he nearly sits there like, no, I don't think I said that. And he scratches his head and he turns his head to the side and he has all these mannerisms where you're kind of going, just look forward at the person that's answering the question and answer it. But Liverpool were well beaten at the weekend. There's no doubt about it. But for me, and there's no complaints. I think my only complaint at the weekend is against Liverpool. To be quite honest with you, on the pitch, off the pitch, I have complaints about Man City and stuff. But it still came across. You beat Liverpool 4-1, and the talking point around it is your insecurities around you, what legacy you will have in football because of what you've done at this football club, which I don't think will be much, and this team over here that haven't won as much as you, but you've denied them, and they're in your head every fucking day.
If you're a top player, do you want to go and play? And everybody knows who I'm talking about. Do you want to go and play, for Pep Guardiola at Manchester City? If you're a young player, or do you want to, follow your hero,
Jude Bellingham,
and dig Liverpool out and get yourself a name? I think that young fella is so, and a lot of Manchester City fans will go, "Oh no, we smashed Liverpool the weekend, so he's probably looking at us." I think things like that will make him go even more. Listen, get me in there. I'm going to make the difference. It's a bit like the fella Casemiro as opposed to have made the point, I'll sort that midfield. I think Bellingham is looking at, and Steven Gerrard has done his job, and he wants to come here. I wouldn't be looking at, and you wouldn't be looking at Pep and go, "Yeah, I'll play for him. Look at him. Look at the way he behaves on the line."
But you see, but you're saying that, and the fact that, well, I'm a 41-year-old man, and I've issues with City's financial carry on, right? But I know where you're coming from, in the sense of players around the world now are probably looking, going, is there something going on there? Now if you want money, off you go. Newcastle City will do it. They'll blow, and United to a point will blow Liverpool out of the water. Liverpool always still comes across as, they're a proper football club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Manchester United are a proper football club. But United haven't found the mix between being a proper football club and being smart with their money. Liverpool, in fairness, haven't found the balance between being a proper football club and sometimes acting that way. That's where the FSG stuff comes from. But I'll stand by with Bellingham, and I don't know how we've got onto this. But Bellingham, John says Paul Joyce is saying Bellingham is keen on the move to LFC, so he's clearly not being put off by our season so far. I think Jude Bellingham knows where he's going at the end of the season and has done for months. That's my opinion. I think he's known for months. Jude Bellingham, if you look back at the planning that went around him leaving Birmingham, right? He's not going to do any less planning on this move. And for me, Jude Bellingham isn't finishing on the fucking 28th of May for Borussia Dortmund away at Union Berlin or wherever it is, and then going, I wonder where I'll go. Not happening.
No, it's mine made up now. And I tell you, we made the point with Sean, I remember a few weeks ago. I said, listen, if you're looking at Liverpool, and I was thinking, Alisson, probably certainly, if not the best, the second best goalkeeper in the world. Virgil van Dijk, Ballon d'Or, probably should have won the Ballon d'Or the year Messi was average and we won the Champions League. Mohammed Salah, arguably probably the best striker in the world. If I get into that midfield, will I be in the Ballon d'Or conversation? Too bloody right, I will. Too bloody right, I'm going there. Do you know what I mean? I'm going there.
I just think I'm not saying for a second he'll sign for Liverpool because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I won't. I genuinely won't come on. And I know you believe it, and I'll ask Dicko in a second. But I like genuinely, I'm just a bloke that talks about football. Happens to be on the internet, right? I don't know anything about the inside of Liverpool. Nobody fucking knows anything about the inside of Liverpool. So I'm not going to turn around tomorrow and go, "Oh, he's definitely signing. He's definitely signing." I'm not going to flip flop. Right, like the Athletic have done, and fucking flip flop like they just tumble through the fucking week, landing on something, right? And not only them, in fairness, there's more that do it, more publications that do it. But all I'm saying is that should Liverpool be in from 100%? I think he's the top. He's the top talent midfield wise in the world for me, right? Should Liverpool be in? Yes. Will they get him? I'd love it. But I just think all this, he's making the decision in a week and stop it. He's not leaving it till fucking May and June to go, let's have a look at what's on offer here. And the thing is, right, people saying, oh, Liverpool will be poor off with this. Liverpool know what the price is since last summer. So if Liverpool are offering it, Liverpool would have been out by now saying, we're not signing him. Because the money being quoted is mental, right? Because Jude Bellingham, Borussia Dortmund both knew at the end of the summer gone, we're getting one more year out of this. And they've worked together. Nothing's come out about it. I'm telling you, it's done. Whoever he's going to, it's done for me. Dicko, do we sign him or do we just take Tom Davis on loan from Everton because Everton's a transfer ban?
Oh, I've got a bad feeling about it. I'm not confident. I don't think he comes to us ultimately. I mean, if he does, then fair play. If he's made his decision now and he sticks to it after, he sees the fall from grace that we've had and week after week, almost giving him every reason not to want to come to us because it's looking like more of a rebuild, like with every game that passes than we might have thought the previous week or the previous month. So if he comes, all power to him, and he'll be respected, I think, even more for coming to what's turning into a kind of a mini project. Really, you wouldn't have thought that this time last season we'd be discussing, rebuilds or a project or anything like that. That he, potentially now he's going to have to be the cornerstone of some form of rebuild under Klopp, us going for a second kind of, squad, building a second, squad around him primarily. I know we've still got Salah and we've still got some, some of the big names who've won everything with us, but let's face it, we do need a new face, for us to kind of go again. I don't think it happens, but at the same time, I'm almost putting all my eggs in that basket in terms of hope for the future. To be honest with you, because if we don't get him, the meltdown will be absolutely,
it'll be phenomenal. And the Gerrard and Trent stuff at the World Cup, then even when they're warming down, Henderson's with him, Trent's going off and watching Chris Christopherson or something in concert together and all sorts of stuff. So it absolutely will be mad. Someone says there Dicko's never confident over anything. Yeah, but Dicko lives very close to Phil Casey, and what happens is when you live close to Phil Casey, all them thoughts that comes out of Phil's head wanders across the back gardens and lands in your kitchen. And you can't.
That's right. I was only on a walk with Phil Casey yesterday, so I'm obviously at a low ebb now.
Yeah. Right, we're going to leave it because we've done an hour and a half. I really enjoyed that. We've covered loads, and we were trying to do 4 topics. I think we've done everything. We've read the world. It's right. Big shout out to David Attenborough if you're listening. No problem for the mention, by the way. That has been Winners and Losers. Tomorrow we will have Liverpool play tomorrow.
We're playing Chelsea. We try and block these things out.
Lads, genuinely, my days are all over the place because literally everyone in the house has been sick for a week, right? And I don't know what day it is. Genuinely don't fucking know what day it is. So tomorrow's Tuesday. They're definitely playing on Tuesday. So
Andy Young's going.
And the young is going.
You will be there, nice one.
Fuck's sake. What's he doing going to Stamford Bridge?
He managed to get a couple of tickets, so himself and Mick are going to have a night out on the town.
Night out. To be in bed at 10:30, they will.
So they
can go up and go to fucking, what's the posh shops over there, all the notion shops. What's going on for your owns?
He'll be in Harrods on Wednesday morning.
He'll be in Harrods up to about, I'd say you watch the match in Harrods, actually. He'll give away his ticket. But no, tomorrow we'll have full-time Reds. Wednesday we should be doing a call-in show. Thursday we should be back with Viewers' Voice. Friday will be the Premier League forecast. Saturday, Liverpool play Arsenal Sunday, don't they? Definitely Sunday.
Sunday I am going over for the
Arsenal. That one.
Yeah. Confident.
With your big Harrods jacket on you there, Andy boys. And Saturday we're off. Sunday will be full-time Reds and the Fatback 4. So we've loads and loads coming this thing. This week. If you're into golf, go and check out Bang Average Golf. There's more videos coming from that. Yesterday. You love it, don't you?
Everybody in the chat that's commenting, please subscribe to Bang Average Golf. It's addictive. Put it on your laptop in work on your lunch break and just watch it. It's the most relaxing thing. It's satisfying. It's a bit of crack. It's not like it's just I don't know what. It's just addictive. Tell all your mates.
It's very early days, but it is Bang Average Golf. We're throwing a little 5-minute video to see if people like them, where we're just hitting putts and talking nonsense. Like the next one coming is about conspiracy theories. I don't know how we're going to it, but then we're doing longer videos. We're going to definitely do one where you'll see every shot in an 18 holes. We're going to play against you. We've spent about $1,000 on equipment just for cameras and stuff like that. But now we're in a spot where we can actually bring 4 people out on the course, all mic'd up, cameras, the whole lot. So we're going to be bringing people out to challenge against us, and like fellas that are way better than us, they're going to tear us a new arsehole. But we're going to have a great time doing it, me and Neely. So if you might be into golf, just go and check it out. Watch it. We have a bit of laugh. We slag each other off, and it's only going to get wilder from here because with 4 people on screen, me and Neely like an all-married couple, coupled in with the fact that we want to beat these other 2 people over here, or maybe me and another randomer against Neely and a randomer. It could go anywhere, but it's all about people giving us feedback on it. Play that game, play against each other, do this, do that. I wanted to do a game where we had to ring random people in our phone book to choose what club we had to hit, all sorts of stuff. But Neely was like, no, I'm not playing that. But genuinely, we're having great fun doing it. There's about 10, 12 videos out at the minute. We should have another 3 out in the next week, and then we're actually going into filming more days a week than we are. We're doing one a week at the minute, but we're going into more filming, so we should be able to put out 5 or 6 a week going through the summer. I just love sleeping.
That's proper golfing season, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'll be just literally playing golf, doing football shows, editing fucking golf videos, putting them out and going back out playing golf again. So
no, but it brings back memories. When I came off the show first in the ITV, they brought us out. ITV2 brought us out to this golf course in Croydon, and I'll never forget it. It was me and whoever was doing the interview. So it's just supposed to be me having a round. Now I'm not a great golfer at all, but I hit the 4th shot straight down the middle, and coming onto my box. Roberto Di Matteo was still playing at the time, still playing for Chelsea, and he actually let us play through. Him and his agent let us play through. So it was like it was set up, but the 4th shot, I swear to God, they must have thought it was like a good golfer, and I'm rubbish. But when you just catch one straight down the middle, I picked out the 6 pin high. It was just a great day.
But we're not telling you about good golfers. Like we hit some horrendous shots. Like we've a video coming out here, right, in the next couple of days. 4-hole match play, right. I can't get the ball off the tee. One of us ends up under a tree trying to take a shot. Like, it's all over the shop stuff, but it's a laugh. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, in the first 10 videos we've made, Neely has been about 2 feet away from a hole in one, and I've been about 18 inches away from a hole in one in the first 10 videos. Like, never do it normally, but it's just a bit of a laugh. And if you're watching and you want to play golf for us, by all means, give us a shout, because we'll get you down, we'll mic you up on the camera, and don't worry what you say, because we'll edit it out. It doesn't make a difference. Like me and Neely are heavily edited.
You were out in Ashbourne, I think, the first one, and it just looked outstanding. Just a perfect morning for it.
It's about weather, because at the moment getting out to play golf is hard. The amount of rain
Wettest
being there.
March on record it was. Let's hope for better in April.
Yeah.
Please, everybody in the chat.
Now
bang average,
go and subscribe.
and look at it.
Watch the videos. Give us feedback. We want to know what you want to see us do on the channel. Whether it's 2 people on screen, 3, 4. We want to do everything. We're bringing all the equipment to us to the golf day and everything. Where we're going to film on the golf day and all our shots and stuff like that. And it's just something different. You know, if you're pissed off watching Liverpool at the minute, which it's absolutely fine.
Basically,
Go in and sit this on. Don't have any expectations of it and just have a laugh watching it. Anyway, the charity is breast cancer research. I have to leave this as the last word. €20,000 we're trying to raise for 12 women running the Dublin Marathon in October. If you want to donate, the link is in the description. If you want to sponsor anything for our golf day or send us money to buy some prizes for the raffle that night, lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com, where you can get in contact with us and we will sort it all out from there. If you want to donate, as I said, link is in the description, or share it across your family, your friends, everything like that, and we get this total done at some stage. Big shout out to Sophie that we covered on the show last week. Lost her limbs because of sepsis and stuff like that, which literally that's gone over €150,000 in a week. It's phenomenal. She deserves every single cent of it. And if you want, it's on our social media if you want to donate to that as well. Thanks a million to Dicko. Thanks to Pete. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been a brilliant show on a Monday night, I have to say. And that's been Winners and Losers. Over and out.